guys, what's up? It's Katie and I'm back with another Marvel Contest of Champions video, and today we are continuing the Act 5 series with 5.4.2 Friends and Foes. Now, I'm making this series for a number of reasons. The first is that I want to refamiliarize myself with Act 5 because I get a lot of questions about it and I completed it so long ago that it's kind of hard to remember. Also, I have some friends who've started playing the game, and I know that there are a lot of new players out there who have just joined the game and are looking for some Act 5 content. So what I'm going to try to do with this series is do my best to go over Act 5, go over the nodes, the bosses, and relevant champ information to 2019. So the first thing I want to do is take a look at this spreadsheet that I have here. Now, this is an active spreadsheet. It is a live spreadsheet. There is a link to it in the description below, and I have all of the paths laid out with all the mobs you'll be facing, the nodes that they are equipped with, and I also have a description of the nodes so you can go ahead and take a look at them to kind of understand what you'll be fighting, what the node says. And then there is also a link, or excuse me, there's a map and a link to the map that you can go ahead, download, and use to your advantage, especially for this map, because this map is a little bit more different. It's similar to 5.4.1, so we'll get into that in a little bit. So now 5.4.2 is a little bit different than the acts we have faced thus far, with the exception of 5.4.1, is that it doesn't have a global node and there are no keys required. However, all of the paths that I've laid out, they are all noded and the map is locked, so you can't scout out your paths, which makes this map, I think, super beneficial. Now, normally, if we take a look at the map, I would go over any path that I haven't made a video on, but the way that that map is, you can't exactly do that. So I have videos on all 5 paths, and now when you start out, you can choose, you know, which path you want to go. You can go this way, this way, this way, this way. However which way you want to go, you'll come off into this middle section here. And then once you get through this middle section, if you choose to go on, you know, path 4, you can shoot over and continue on path 4 here, or go over to path 5 here. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure right there. However you're kind of wanting to equip it. It's just kind of how I went about it. Now, in this third section here, I should make note that you do have a chance to get ambushed, but the ambushes, they're not noted and they're pretty easy fights. Now, one thing I want to mention is when you start off, when you go ahead and choose which way you want to go, you'll be able to either go power gain, rage, masochism, bleed and poison, or resilience. Now, like 5.4.1, this is a little deceptive because it makes it look like these nodes are present along the paths, but in reality, they may not be. For example, for rage, there are no actual rage nodes, just a lot of furies and a lot of crits. So you don't really have to worry about, you know, them going unblockable when they reach 5 furies. Now, for power gain, most of the mobs have some sort of power enhancement, but there is actually only one node with power gain. So just, you know, be mindful of that. So now that we've gone over the map a little bit, let's go ahead and take a look at path 1. So for path 1, the first mob you're coming across is Star-Lord, and he has cornered and enhanced fury, so you definitely don't want to put a debuff on him or he'll start to gain power like crazy. And for the enhanced fury, you only really have to worry about it if he hits you. So don't get hit. Number 1 rule in MCOC. Maybe. But overall, Star-Lord, easy fight. So now we're now we're moving on to OG Vision, and he has Power Start 1 and Limber. And because of his synthesis, he is going to start out with nearly 3 bars of power. So you're either going to want to instantly bait out that special right out the gate, or if you bring in someone like Starkey or OG Vision, you can easily power drain at the beginning. Now, Hawkeye is great for this. Once you bait out that first special, just keep rapid firing those special ones and just keep his power down. That's the best way to deal with OG Vision. So now we're moving on to Hyperion with Plague Mind and Pessimist, and you definitely want to bait out those specials. Nobody wants to eat a special 3 from Hyperion, even though we sometimes do it a lot. You definitely want to keep him at 2 bars of power or less. Don't push him over more. Otherwise, you know, you're going to have the potential to push him to that special 3. Mephisto is great here because he gets that soul on him and, you know, stops him from getting that power gain. Now, Black Widow, sure, she's got critical times too. Doesn't sound too hard, right? It's not. But her evades are what will catch you like it did right there. I just ate a 3-hit combo from her. So definitely want to try to bring in a mutant here to try to lessen those evades. Iceman is really great for this because he puts the cold snap on her, and so she will not evade with that cold snap. So now we're moving on to Dormammu with Shatter and Poison Immunity, and so I'm not really sure why he has Poison Immunity because he's already Poison Immune, but whatever. Shatter, all you got to really worry about is not getting hit by that special 1 and letting him nullify you, or you'll take direct damage from that Shatter node. So just be mindful of that. Overall though, it's a pretty easy fight. Definitely the only thing you really got to watch out for with Dormammu is that degen, so be mindful of that. Ghost Rider has Burden of Might and Spirit of Justice. Now with Spirit of Justice, it's basically, think of fighting him with the Blade synergy. So if he hits you, he's gonna place a judgment on you. Now Burden of Might, you definitely don't want to bring in a champ with a lot of buffs, but most of those are cosmic anyways, and you don't really want to come in here with a class disadvantage. Hawkeye is great for this. Keeping him power drained is ideal. Both of Ghost Rider's specials, though, are pretty easy to dodge. You could easily bring in a science champ here and just wreck him. So Nebula has Fury and Recovery. So with Recovery, whenever she heals, she's going to heal a lot more than normal. So keep that in mind. You can either bring in a heal block champ, or when she goes and is starting to recover, just try to instantly parry her to stun her and to stop that healing. But Nebula, she's really not a hard fight. Just try to bait out those special 1s over the special 2. They're easier to dodge, and don't let her shock you. So now we have Hawkeye with power gain and 10% buffet. So you don't want to bring in champs that get buffs, and you definitely want to bring in a power control champ. You could bring in someone like not even OG Vision, but either one of the Visions or Warlock, who can not only heal block, but power control as well. Warlock is ideal for this because it is a passive heal block, and you do have some power control with him. With the OG Vision, with both the Visions, you can power control and heal block off their specials, so they're great for this. Hawkeye is also good as seen. So now we're moving on to Dr. Voodoo with Kinetic Reactor and Bane of Dibala. So with Kinetic Reactor, whenever he hits into your block, he's gonna gain power, so try not to let him hit into your block too much. Make those parries stick. Magic is great for this. You can power lock him, you know, just rapid fire your special 2, and you'll keep him power drained and power locked. Magic is great for this pretty much whole path, since she does have great power control, especially against that Hyperion. All right, so this was actually an ambush. So like I said, in that 3rd section, you do have a chance to get ambushed. Here I was ambushed by Gamora. I think I'm ambushed 2 more times. Not always by Gamora, but again, these champs are unnoted. They're pretty easy fights. They're your standard fights, nothing too hard. So it's just, I guess, Kabam's way of putting it an unnoted fight. All right, so now we're moving on to path 2, which is the rage path. Now, like I said, this is not really a rage path. And here we have Black Bolt with Godslayer and Enhanced Fury. So just try to bring in someone that can nullify or stagger. Hood's a good option for this. Not only do you have the class advantage, but he'll put that stagger on, stop him from gaining all those furies and cruelties. Also, Sim Supreme would be great for this. Stagger him. Magic again would be good for this fight as well. Once he gets all those debuffs up, or excuse me, not debuffs, buffs, just launch your special 3 and down he goes. So now we're moving on to Hulk with Rolling Thunder and Enhanced Fury. So Hulk with Enhanced Fury is kind of like being hit by a runaway freight train, because we all know the lower in health Hulk gets, the harder he hits. Well, you couple that with an Enhanced Fury, and you're gonna either need to get really good at intercepting or bring someone with great block proficiency like Cap America Infinity War. So now Hyperion, again, we're back to Hyperion with Plague Mind and Pessimist. So right here, I'm trying to stagger his debuffs with Hood. Again, you could easily bring in Magic here. Magic is awesome against Hyperion. She's really good against him. Sim Supreme again would be good. Morningstar would be another really good option. Get a soul off of him and then just launch your special too. So here with Black Widow with the critical ×2, I'm just trying to control her evades with Iceman, get that cold snap on her to prevent her from evading so much and coming back and smacking me in the face. And we're back again to Dormammu with Shatter and Poison immunity, and I decided to show how much I hate my life by bringing in Ultron against this fight. I really don't know what I was thinking. But Ultron's not the best option against Dormammu. Alright, so now we're back to Ghost Rider with Burden of Might and Spirit of Justice. And again, I thought I would try to be clever and bring in Vision Arcus here to get the cold snap on him, but probably not the best choice. You really don't want to bring in a Cosmic against Ghost Rider. Any Science Champ will really work against Ghost Rider here. So now we're moving on to Nebula again with Fury and Recovery. So again, you really want to try to bring in a heal block champ right here, bait out those special ones. I brought in Vision Arcus to have the class advantage. Bait out the special ones over the special twos if you're not great at dodging that last little projectile. But overall, Nebula, she's a pretty easy fight. Okay, so now we're moving on to Drax with Enhanced Fury and Stun. So basically with this node, it's pretty much a standard Drax fight, only don't get hit by him or he will stun you. And, he'll get those Furies, so he'll start hitting pretty hard when he gains those Furies. So just be mindful of that. I brought in Hood here to try to stagger those Furies that he gets from launching his special. But overall, Drax, he's really not a hard champ to fight. Hood is great for this. Really, any Mystic is going to do well against it. So now we're moving on to Kingpin with Aggressive and Bane of Hell's Kitchen. This fight here is kind of probably one of the harder ones because of how Kingpin is. Now, the aggressive you can actually get to work in your favor because he will start to throw those specials like crazy, but you just got to be careful that you don't get pinned against the wall, because if Kingpin pins you against the wall and he starts to throw his heavy, there's nothing you can do but try to evade it. You can't counter it. So now right here we were ambushed again, but this time it was by a King Groot. But overall, King Groot, not a hard fight. Again, this was an unnoted ambush, so nothing you have to really worry about. Magic is great for King Groot. So now we're moving on to Path 3, which is Masochism. So every 7 seconds, the next debuff triggered on the champion is immediately removed, and each time this effect triggers the champion will regenerate 5% of their max health. So I brought in Yondu here. This was probably not the best option. I just, I saw the Masochism, so I was just like, oh, I'll bring in Yondu, get the heal block. But bringing someone like Warlock will help counter Starky's evades and also will place a passive heal block. So Warlock is actually really good for this entire path here. Void is also another really good option for it. So now we're moving on to Doc Ock with Masochism and Mirror Image. Now Mirror Image, he's going to mirror whatever buffs you have active, but Archangel is also the man for Masochism. Just get those neuros on your opponent. It doesn't even matter here that we have class disadvantage. We're at 18 hits and he's down to below 50% health. I mean, Archangel is just melting these opponents. Now also, Magic is really great for Masochism as well. Void, he's the OP for Masochism. So now we've moved on to Yellow Jacket, who has Masochism and Enhanced Weakening. So as long as you don't get hit, you don't really got to worry about the Enhanced Weakening. His special one can be kind of dicey to dodge. I always try to be as far back away as I can. Now with Yellow Jacket, you want to do 4-hit combos and then back away. That's the easiest way to avoid getting hit by that special one, or you can push him to his special 2. It's much easier to dodge. So now we've moved on to Civil Warrior with Masochism and Stun. So just don't get hit by him and you won't get stunned. Sentinel, he puts a decent heal block on the opponent, but it is going to take a lot of hits. So just be mindful of that. Void would be really good here. Again, Archangel would be awesome for this. He just melts them and just ignores the armor. But overall, Civil Warrior, not a hard fight. Both of his specials are pretty easy to dodge. And the Masochism, it's not that much, so you don't really have to worry about that. But if you're also, any champ that's going to put a DOT is going to work out great. So now we're moving on to Electra with Masochism and Stun as well. So just don't let her hit you. Otherwise you won't get stunned. Now I, for some reason, had a lot of issues with this Electra. Not really showcasing Void at his best, but Void is great for Masochism because he can do the reverse healing. So keep that in mind if you have a Void, he is like OP. Also, if you have Captain America Infinity War and he's awakened with a high sig, if you bring a tech champ on your team, he's going to help you out wonders and can do the reverse heal as well. So now we moved on to Winter Soldier with Masochism and Enhanced Special 1. Now with Winter Soldier, the Special 1 is much easier to dodge than the Special 2, so this kind of works out in our favor. But Archangel, we're at 14% health, and we are just going to shred through this Winter Soldier. We'll get the neuros on, get the stuns going, just let the DOT do its thing, and just let Winter Soldier tick away. So Hulkbuster has Masochism and Enhanced Armor Up. And with this one, you're either going to want to bring in someone that's going to do a lot of damage over time, like Archangel or Void, or someone who is going to break that armor. We're with Sentinel here at 255 hits, and Hulkbuster is still not down. So this Enhanced Armor Up is really, you know, making the damage hard. Oh gosh. So now we've moved on to Iron Fist with Masochism and Enhanced Crits. Now, just don't get hit and you don't really have to worry too much about the crits. Iron Fist, both of his specials are easy to dodge. And Archangel, we may only be at 11% health, but we are just going to melt Iron Fist down with the damage over time. So he'll shut that Masochism down and you really don't have to worry too much about it. But overall, this is a pretty easy fight. So now let's go ahead and take a look at path 4, which is the bleed and poison path. So with this one, you're definitely going to want to bring someone who is bleed immune and poison immune, because with Abomination, you've got Biohazard and Flare. So if you bring in someone who's bleed and poison immune, it's going to help you to deal with the Biohazard easier, and you're gonna want a high damage dealer, you know, to take Abomination down quick with the Flare node. Makes Ghost great for it. Joe Fixit has Biohazard and Stacked Deck. Now Stacked Deck, that's just a unique buff just for Joe Fixit, but overall it's not hard. Ghost is great for this, especially if you can bring in the Quantum Trinity, excuse me, I can't talk today, with her. Get the unblockable specials and it'll be easy peasy. So Hood has Breakthrough and Stupefy, so you're gonna want to be able to get a lot of hits on him. Remember, the more you hit him, the more damage you're gonna do. You won't do a lot of damage at first, but as you hit him more, oh my gosh, as you hit him more, there we go, Katy, you'll start to do more damage. And I figured since since Hulk was on this node, I cannot talk. Since Hulk was on that node before, I was gonna bring in Hulk and just get a little revenge. So now we're moving on to Cap World War II with Bloodletting and Enhanced Abilities. Now I'm not really sure what the enhanced ability is, if it's more block proficiency or what, but with the Bloodletting, all you gotta really worry about is not getting hit by that special 2. If you don't get hit by the shield at the end of the special 2, you won't get that bleed on you. So try to keep him at his special 1 if you're not great at avoiding the special 2. With the special 2, all you gotta worry about is dexting right before the shield is about to hit you. So now we're moving on to Gwenpool with Bloodletting and Enhanced Bleed. So just don't get hit and you don't have to worry about the Bloodletting or the Enhanced Bleed. If you do get hit, be Omega Red. Omega Red is great for this because if he does get a bleed on him, he will put the Death Spores on and you'll get extra damage from that. He'll have his Death Field activated like it is right here after the special 2. Plus with Omega Red, you can lifesteal and you have some power control. So Black Panther, this is OG Black Panther and he has Enhanced Bleed and Critical. So again, just don't get hit unless you're Omega Red. But both Black Panthers, both of his specials are pretty easy to dodge, so you don't have to worry about that. This is overall a pretty standard Black Panther fight. So now we've moved on to Howard the Duck with energy resistance and enhanced fury. So you're going to want to bring in someone who does more physical damage since he's got resistance to energy damage, and he's going to have an enhanced fury. Now Hyperion is great for this. Just build up those furies and, you know, launch your specials, preferably your special 2 or your special 3. That's more physical damage than energy damage, and you'll do a lot. The only thing you got to really watch out for with Howard the Duck is when he drops low, he can either put a thunderquack on you or regen. So be mindful of that. Parry when you see that about to happen. So Wolverine has enhanced bleed and limber. Now with limber, you get about 5 parries before he comes stun immune. So be mindful of that. I brought in Ghost for that, so I really don't have to worry. Just phase and hit, phase and hit. And then you don't have to really worry about the limber whatsoever. You could bring in a heal block champ here too, and just get really good at intercepting or baiting out those heavies. So Ultron has enhanced bleed and outlast, and with Ultron, really what you gotta watch out for is his evades. That's what will catch me, and you'll see it here in a minute. But he does evade, catches me, and hits me, and with Ultron, he can bleed you off of his attacks, off of his basic attacks, so be mindful of that. It's not a terrible bleed, which is good, but so you can see he evaded me and caught me there. So just if you can bring in someone to control the evades, that is ideal. So Red Magneto has enhanced bleed and armor, and this armor is thick, guys. He has 90% armor, so it's essentially 90% damage reduction. So, you know, you're definitely gonna want to bring in someone to armor break this guy. Corvus is awesome. Just parry and put that armor break on. Or if you don't have someone that could armor break him, someone that can bypass it with damage over time debuffs is always optimal. Omega Red is really great for it. So now we're moving on to X-23 with enhanced bleed and poison. So this is also where you're gonna want a poison immune champ, since she does have, this node has poison. And so, you know, it's this fight and the biohazard fights where you're gonna need a poison immune champ for this path. So keep that in mind. But overall, this is your pretty standard X-23 fight. She's not hard. Both of her specials are easy to dodge. I prefer baiting out her special 1 over her special 2, but it's dealer's choice. So let's go ahead and take a look at path 5, which is resilience. And so first we're coming against OG Iron Man, who has resistor and enhanced armor break. So you're gonna want to bring in your heavy hitters, and with resistor, you're gonna want to bring in someone who does not only physical attacks, but also energy attacks like Hype. Because if you do a physical attack and then an energy attack, it'll take one of those physical attacks away. So that's always a good way to do it. Iron Patriot, he has resistor and enhanced armor up. So like OG Iron Man, bringing someone in who can, you know, do physical and energy attacks is always optimal. Or you can bring in someone like Gwenpool and put a damage over time debuff, like a bleed on them. Or what you could do is wait until one of them is up to 10. And if you have magic, whenever the resistor is up to 10, so like Luke Cage here's got resistor and 90% armor. If you bring in magic and when he's up to 10 on the resistor, launch your special 3 and it will do a ton of damage. So keep that in mind. You don't always need to necessarily bring in someone who does physical and energy attacks or someone who breaks armor. Magic is great for this because of all of those buffs that they get. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your champs on who, you know, on what fights you're gonna have and who you think would be good for it. So now we've gone back to Hood with Breakthrough and Stupefy. So I brought in Domino here, get some damage over time on. Domino is just nasty for this part of the path, especially if you can get her to crit bleed. The damage she does is just crazy. So now we're back to Cap World War II with Bloodletting and enhanced abilities. So again, Domino for this is insane. Just don't get hit by the tail end of that special 2 from Cap World War II, and you don't really have to worry about the bloodletting. Again, I'm not so sure what the enhanced abilities is, if it's more block proficiency or what, but Domino is just nasty with those crit bleeds. So now we're moving on to Gwenpool, again with bloodletting and enhanced bleed. So just don't get hit and you don't really have to worry about the bloodletting or the enhanced bleed. So you don't essentially have to worry about bleeding to death. Again, Domino is great for this, but any champ will do. OG Black Panther with enhanced bleed and critical. Just don't get hit again unless you're Omega Red. And then you don't have to worry too much about it, but both of Black Panther's specials are easy to dodge. And so this is just pretty much a standard Black Panther fight. And Howard the Duck with energy resistance and enhanced fury. So Sim Supreme is great for this. Just stagger all those furies and armors and you really don't have a whole lot to worry about. You could do Hood as well. Someone that armor breaks is also another good option for this. So now we're moving back on to Wolverine with enhanced bleed and limber. Now remember, with Wolverine, you'll get about 5 parries in before he will become fully stun immune. So you can go ahead, either get really good at your intercepts or just bait out those heavies. Domino, again, is great for this. She's just nasty with those bleeds and that crit failure. So, but any champ will really work well against this. A heal blocker like Yondu will also work well when he starts to regen. So now we've moved on to Ultron with enhanced bleed and outlast. So again, the only thing you really need to worry about this with Ultron is his evades, so just be mindful of that. And remember, with Outlast, the lower in health he gets, the harder he's going to hit. So keep that in mind. And with the enhanced bleed, if he clips you, he's gonna bleed you, but it's not gonna be something terrible. So now we've moved on to Rhino with heal prevention and aggressive. So if you bring a heal block champ in here, you are not going to, if you bring in a champ that regens, excuse me, you are not going to be able to heal. Now the aggressive will work in your favor if you can get him in a corner and he will launch his specials. So keep that in mind. You want to play Rhino close so that he can't charge you, become unstoppable and unblockable, because that is no bueno. And finally, we've moved on to Doctor Strange, who has physical and energy resistance. So you're going to want to bring in a champ who does both physical and energy attacks. So Hype would be good. Also, Sim Supreme is always good here. You can stagger between those armors and furies that he gets. But you also I should mention too, if he does have his armor up, make sure you launch your special when that armor up is not up so that you can do more damage, and be mindful of his power gain. So here I was ambushed by Crossbones this time, but again, it's just another unnoted fight. It's a simple Crossbones fight. The only thing you gotta watch out for with Crossbones is make sure he doesn't shrug your parry if he has a fury up, so keep that in mind. Bait out his special 1 over his special 2. It's easier to dodge, but overall, not a hard fight. Okay, so now it's boss time, and the boss is Morningstar, and she's got recovery, special attack heal block, so she'll heal block you off of her specials, 200% health, oppressive curse, which is basically when Morningstar is blocked, she gains a soul charge, so she's gonna get those souls pretty quick unless you are OP at intercepting. And she also has Shatter. So with Shatter, again, if she nullifies you, she deals 300 direct damage for each buff nullified. Now with Morningstar, you are going to want a bleed immune unless you have Omega Red. Omega Red does decent with this fight as well. I brought in Iceman here because I figured if I pushed her to a special 3, I could eat a special 3 with Iceman, plus also bleed immune. Definitely bait out those special 1s all day. The special 2s can be kind of tricky to dodge. I'm about 50-50 on them. Sometimes my timing's right and sometimes it's not. Also, once she has the 5 souls, she will be unblockable special 2, so keep that in mind. When fighting her, bait out those special 1s all day. Luke Cage would also be really great for this. You know, he hits really hard, he's bleed immune, and plus if he's awakened, he's indestructible, so you can eat at least 1 special 3 from her if you know you just want to kind of go and swing in right out the gate. But you can see Omega Red here. All you got to do is is really hit her a couple times, you'll get the bleed on you, and then, you know, death field activated. So really you just kind of got to stand close, get those death spores going. Plus with Omega, you are able to not only life steal, but you can also power steal with your special 3. So you have some power control and some regen. But that is it, guys. That is Act 5.4.2. Let me know in the comments below, have you run through 5.4.2 yet? If you did, who did you use? Will you be using this map? Let me know in the comments below and let's discuss. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys liked what you saw and you want to see more, please remember to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and hit me up in the Discord chat. Thanks, guys. Bye.